This is Kyle. That is Laura. This is He Said, She Said. Laura, it's been 2 weeks. How's everything going?
Other than Blizzard Nemo, everything has been good. I was stranded in the house for 5 days.
Man, you guys in the Northeast cannot catch a break for anything.
Mother Nature is not happy with us. I don't know what
really
we've done.
Upset her.
We did something
Yes.
terribly wrong.
Yes, you might want to, I don't know, maybe plant a tree.
So something that keeps coming up with many of the women that I work with, and in conversations, it just seems to be coming from all over the place, is this notion of not losing yourself, how not to lose yourself when you are beginning a new relationship, and even in that passionate stage of relationship building.
Sure, the rainbows and butterflies in the beginning, everything is perfect. You know, they walk in the room and your throat falls into your stomach, that whole deal, right? So you're absolutely right. I think that's just not a woman thing. Guys go through the same thing, and any guy that tells you otherwise is lying.
It seems to always get framed around women, though, that they, I do believe that the healthiest and the best and most passionate relationships are when both people are able to continue to nurture themselves and grow themselves independently, even within the context of the partnership.
I know that the clients you have are either divorced or going through the process of divorce, and humans are such interesting creatures, right? So I would argue that, and this is for men and for women too, that when they're in a divorce situation, one of the things that they all are trying to do, right, if they really want the divorce, is kind of get away and find themselves, right? How many times have we heard, I need to find myself, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a divorce or whatever. But yet, here we are, we're talking about women, and like I said, this is a man issue too, where these women have divorced either recently or maybe a while back, but then they find themselves caught up into this relationship again when just 2, 3, 4 months or whatever ago they were trying to get out of one. We're just such odd creatures, right? This is a guy problem. All right, guys do experience this. Like I said, any guy that tells you otherwise is not being truthful with you. I've experienced it myself. And one of the first things that I think about when you brought that topic up was it's the newness. It's the new car smell of a relationship, right? We get a car and we're in a new car and all we want to do is sit in it in the garage with it off. We just want to take it all in, right? And we just can't get enough of it. Eventually, the new car smell wears off, just like the newness of the relationship.
Because I think sometimes people don't mean to behave that way. They don't mean to do it, but they just simply can't help themselves. And I think it's a turnoff. I think it can become a turnoff.
Well, coming on hot and heavy in the beginning, what I call front loading a relationship, right? So we do all the stuff on the front end because we want to once again, the new car smell analogy, I can't think of a better one than that, right?
No, it's good.
We're just wanting to continue to just be in it all the time. Really, it's a situation, Laura, where in my mind, we're really making it about us, right? We're going to put this individual in whatever box we can so that they can either satisfy our wants or satisfy our needs in that moment. So if the texting 15 times a day, right? In any other given life or given situation, that same woman or man for that matter would think to themselves or hear their friends say and be like, are you crazy? But at the moment, though, it's just we go into relationships with these blinders on, right? We can't see anything but straight ahead, and we lose all periphery whatsoever. And we don't realize that there's someone else in the relationship too, right? If we make it about just, I want to be with all just everything. It's right. It's like the new car thing. We forget that the other person's there.
I think if you don't have something else really nurturing, your life, really filling it up and making it, giving you some kind of sense of grounding beneath your feet kind of thing, it can get real easy to go down that road that we're talking about with those blinders on, with that oh my God, this is it. He's my universe. Right. He's my universe right now. And I think that can be dangerous. I really do. I had to slow it down early on because I had kids half the time. So it gave me this automatic kind of, pulled me right out of myself, right? Because there were these other people that I had to also then focus on.
Well, you've heard of the situation, you've heard of the bait and switch, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So here's how I think about that. If I go into a relationship with someone else, and the beginning of that relationship, let's be frank, right? When we start a relationship with someone, Laura, how the relationship begins is going to be how I assume the person will be. That's who they are, right? If they're acting a certain way, if they behave a certain way, if they respond, if they argue or disagree in a certain way, in the beginning of the relationship, the assumption is, well, that's who this person is, right? As we go through the relationship, that's who I ultimately begin to care for, that person. Well, if that's all in the beginning either intentional bait and switch or unintentional bait and switch, to your point, where we go into it with blinders, we don't realize what we're doing. We're just so enamored that this person represents something that I've never had before, or I used to have and I lost, or something that I've always wanted, and I want to do everything that I need to do in order to grab a hold of that. That's a bait and switch, because eventually you can't keep up that. You can't keep going down the road with blinders. Eventually the blinders are going to blow off. You're going to see what's around you, and to your point, there's going to be distractions. There'll either be forced distractions like children and every other weekends and jobs and businesses, or there are going to be friends eventually, right? So they're not forced distractions, but they're things, well, all of a sudden, it's been 4 months since I've seen my girlfriend, and we're going to go away for the weekend, right? Well, he, who has not been out of your sight once in 4 months, all of a sudden comes up as, well, I'm going to go away for the weekend. And he's going to be like, whoa, where did that come from, right? That's not the person that I knew. I didn't, not that I don't want you to do that. It's just that you didn't sell yourself that way. And let's be honest, Laura, that's what the beginning of the relationships are. We are selling ourselves, marketing ourselves, just like everyone else is in any other type of business, product, or service, right? If we oversell and underdeliver, what's going to happen to the relationship?
I'll use myself as an example. I have a lot of stuff in my life, a lot of things. I need and I want to work out during the week. I want time for that. I have my kids. I have my business. I have my parents who are local. I have all of these kinds of things. And from the very beginning, I needed and wanted to be able to find someone and welcome someone into my life that was going to understand that, and that was never going to make me want me to be something other than that. And the only way that I could have done that is to present that at the very beginning. I mean, there was no other way. Otherwise, you start contorting yourself, and I've been there and done that, where you contort yourself because that's what someone else wants instead of what I really am.
You become too flexible. You become overly flexible. You become like Gumby, right? You become the Gumby. This is a Gumby relationship, and the fact that I'm going to move in whatever direction I need to prove myself to the other person, to sell myself to that person. knowing full well that that's probably not in the end who I really am. I'm not the person that texts 15 times a day, but I want him to know, or I want her to know, that I'm thinking about her all the time, and I want all of that back too. I want to know that they're thinking about me too, and right. So we put ourselves, we go from the one end to the other end, right? We probably were divorced because we were inflexible. You don't want to do change. You don't want to do things. Well, now we've become the exact opposite. Neither of those sides is really who we are as an individual. And so presenting the real person.
And then it's interesting because then I hear back later on, when I talk to people who are in that dating mode, like, but he doesn't seem to have a life.
Yeah, because he's with you all the time.
And I'm always like, right, exactly. People have this very stereotypical definition of what a relationship looks like, right? That a relationship that I start to date, I go out on 2 dates, and now I guess we're in a relationship. So I guess that means that on Saturdays we go out. Mm-hmm. That's what we do. That's what people in relationships do. They have a standard Saturday night plan together. Okay. So I think people get very confused that that's sometimes not what it looks like. I don't think today there's kind of a stereotypical answer of what that looks like. And I think that the other piece is people want it so bad, right? They want to get to the place where they can say, he's my boyfriend, he's my relationship. And that period of time, I know you know it, and I certainly do, that takes a long time to get there. And that period of time where you're dating, but you've been dating a while, you're not quite at calling it a permanent relationship. It's a little uncomfortable. It can feel a little uncomfortable. It can feel a little uncertain, and people wig out. I think that's when they wig out, and that's when they start to do the, hey, I'm thinking about you, text, and then it's like, oh my God, it's been an hour and I haven't heard anything back. Oh my God, he's cheating. Like, right? I mean, it's not crazy. This shit exists.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, what do you tell these women then when they come to you and they are in this situation? What do you say?
I tell them that they have to learn how to self-soothe. It's really hard to say fast and say frequently, but self-soothe. Okay. It's kind of like when you take the pacifier away from your little one, and they have to figure out how to comfort themselves, how to put themselves to sleep. We don't like to be uncomfortable as people, less and less so. We're in this instant gratification. If I get dumped, within 10 minutes I'm on Match and I have a date for tomorrow night. It's very, very instant gratification. Mm-hmm. So people don't like to figure out how to self-soothe. The truth of the matter is, when you're early on and things are not quite clear and it's still, Wednesday, and you're not sure if you're going to have a date with this person on Saturday, you don't have to text him 45 times until you get an answer, or make him ask you out because you've sent him so many wiggy texts. Make a plan for Saturday night for yourself. Do something else. Find a way to soothe yourself. Go out with some friends. I really encourage people to have a life. It's a dangerous place to be, in my opinion, if you don't have your own healthy life and you're looking for a relationship. That's like the perfect storm waiting to happen.
I'm a huge believer in boundaries, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge believer in understanding who we are.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are,
right,
you will clearly get lost into someone else.
I love that. That is exactly right.
So, for those women and men who find themselves just absolutely enamored, and I will tell you this from my own personal experience, Laura. Looking back, I can tell you that there have been times in my life where I have gotten into that situation, and it was in those times where I had no clue who I was, what I wanted, the direction that I was going in, right? I was grasping for straws, to use that phrase. And my recommendation to anyone, man or woman, and this is not gender specific here, is first, you got to know what you want, right? Yeah. And then secondly, you got to really have some boundaries. And what that means is, these are certain things, and to use your gym point earlier, or these are certain things and activities that I enjoy doing. I am not going to give up my uniqueness for the mundane for anybody. It's going to have to be someone really special for me to do that. A third date, you're not that special yet. You haven't made it to that level.
And we absorbed and embraced the fear of losing that person.
You don't even know what you lost yet. Only thing you're losing is the idea of someone.
That's exactly right. And the truth is, and we've spoken about this before too, if you lose someone by maintaining your uniqueness, good riddance.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Because they didn't want you for who you were. They wanted you for who they thought you could become.
Right. You don't fall in love with potential.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Learn how to soothe yourself. Big time. It's just, we can't let periods of discomfort make us act like idiots. I know it's not profound, but you know what? When you get to be a certain age, you have to find a way to soothe yourself and deal with the discomfort and uncertainty that real life is.
Yeah. Don't be scared to hold on to the unique characteristics of who you are.
Yeah.
Because when you trade those in, it's really hard to get them back.
Yeah. And I'd say when you trade those in, it's really unattractive and it does nothing.
That's exactly right.
Does nothing.
Right. Laura, have a great
Love
day.
it.
Talk to you soon.